So you are about to meet Pierre Ferrari and Chuck Warta. They will show you the power of partnership and also the power of poultry. And that will make a lot more sense after you watch this video.
How hard is it to support one person born into poverty and give them a better, more complete life? They'll need food right away for early development, then supplies and funding for their education so they can better support themselves, medicine for improved health and safer childbirth, and money to build better housing. And it might work for that one person if help is there at every turn. But if you want to inspire change for 100 million people, you need to think bigger and differently. You need to invest in people from local communities who have ideas for scaling businesses and the drive to build them. Hatching Hope will do that with chickens and the support and knowledge that enables farmers to turn them into reliable sources of improved nutrition and engines of economic growth, turning people who are born into poverty into people who lift others out of it.
Good morning. Oh, that's better. I'm Chuck Warta with Cargill.
And I'm Pierre Ferrari with Heifer International.
So what if we could bring together two global organizations that had a shared belief in the importance of values, a passion for animal agriculture, a commitment to smallholder farmers, and an absolute belief in the importance of animal protein to human livelihood and nutrition. And what if we could channel that energy to the most vulnerable people in the world, those people who are living on less than $2 a day in places like Kenya and India and Mexico? And what if we could introduce them to the markets and turn them into successful small-scale agriculture producers? And what if we could do that at scale?
So what if we could really organize ourselves to have a dent in SDG 1 and SDG 2? Let's do something at scale that's really important and visible. Let's not talk about the farmers as beneficiaries of charity anymore, but let's talk about them as solutions to the problem, to their own problems. What if we can turn business, international businesses, to see that this work can actually be included as part of their business strategies rather than something they do for corporate social responsibility? And what if we could think differently about value chains, which we've all talked about as being demand-driven rather than simply production-driven? For those of us who have been in business, who are in business, demand is the driver that changes everything, not production. Production should follow demand.
What if? These are two simple words with incredible power to change the status quo. Well, Hatching Hope is our answer to these what-if questions.
So we would like to turn a large number of smallholder farmers into successful business owners. And President Humbo of IFAD was mentioning that poverty in sub-Saharan Africa is primarily located in the rural areas, and that's where we plan to be. This will give them the economic means with which to feed their children, house themselves, send them to school, lift their families and communities out of this poverty. And let's see if we can eliminate this tragedy of poverty and hunger. 60 years ago, President Eisenhower talked about the global crisis around hunger and poverty. And today, even though substantial improvements have been made, hunger and poverty persist. There's still 2 billion people who lack the correct micronutrients in their diets. It's not just hunger in terms of calorie counts. So Hatching Hope is a bold, innovative initiative with a goal to improve the nutrition and economic livelihoods of 100 million people by 2030 through the power of poultry.
100 million people. That's a big number. That's a big time number. How are we going to do that? People are going to want to hear more.
There's a couple of secret ingredients, which are actually not so secret to this community. One is we're going to begin and work probably almost exclusively with women. We have found, through the work that we've done over the 75 years of our existence, that when we are able to motivate and move women out of the level of psychosocial difficulties they face into a place of hopefulness, that change is incredibly rapid and professional.
And we're going to add some chickens. Lots of chickens.
Lots of chickens. Lots and lots of chickens. In Kenya, we've been doing chicken work for a long time. In Kenya, in Mexico, in India, poultry and egg, significant opportunities. And this is the bleeding heart liberal here, talking about the demand side of the business of poultry and eggs. With a continued urbanization and continued population growth and the continued economic growth of most of the countries where we're going to operate, there is no doubt that the market is growing. Not only is it growing, but it's profitable. Now, for those of you who have some capitalist in you, growing profitable markets is the opportunity. And we intend to tap those markets, those profitable markets, for the benefit of the farmers and their communities. I will just add one thing, is that in addition to that, the delivery of significant quantities of high-quality poultry and eggs requires a substantial amount of training. And we're going to turn to our partner here to make sure that biosecurity and safe and sustainable systems are established.
You know, before we go farther, maybe I'll take a couple of seconds and just talk about why poultry. There's really three very simple reasons for why we want to talk about poultry and why we chose to focus on poultry initially. For sure, the obvious thing that's been talked about, the cycle time of poultry is shorter. From placement to impact is a shorter cycle time, and that allows us to get to that measurable impact quicker. The other thing that is important we remember about poultry in these markets is we have a bit of a duality to work with. We have both the poultry meat production, we also have the egg. And there's an economic and a nutritious benefit that we can be looking to measure, and they both have an impact. And finally, the third thing, the reason we chose poultry, was something that Heifer taught us. They told us it was going to happen in our initial projects, and they proved it to us. The impact on gender equality. The fact of the matter is, when we place these poultry, the female family members step up and take a more leadership role and a more influential role, not only in their families, but in their communities.
You know, about 2 years ago, Bill Gates, on his private basis, not through the foundation, actually had a program on chicken. And he called it, Can the Chicken Change the World? So I have an answer, Bill. Yes, we will. Let's see whether or not we can actually pull it off.
One of the reasons we chose to work with Heifer is because we have an absolute shared fundamental belief in the importance and the power of the small farmer producer. If you think about the challenge that the previous group was talking about and many others, as we face into the challenges of what are we going to do to feed a world with 9 or 10 billion people on it, if we do this right, if you think about the equation, almost a T-chart of that challenge and potential solutions, if we do this right, we actually believe we will shift these people from the side of the chart to part of the challenge to actually part of the solution of how we're going to feed the world successfully. We know if we give them a hand up instead of a hand out, they will go much, much farther. And if we do this right, we are absolutely confident that there's no reason they should not become viable small ag producers for companies like Cargill and others.
So you've got the pieces coming together, right? You've got strong, profitable demand on one side, how to organize the communities with community-led development so that the farmers themselves, the communities, are actually supportive of the change we want to do. We bring them profitable opportunities, we show them, we give them the training, they actually invest in some of the work that has to be done, including enclosures to protect the animals, so they have skin in the game. We have a network of 150,000 employees at Cargill that actually are committed to animal nutrition, to agriculture. We have a network of about 10,000 people, and this density of network can support a very large number of farmers and spread the word about the profitability and actual accessibility and ease to do poultry farming and the profitability of it all. And we can move large numbers of people into a state of better income and certainly better nutrition. And with all this comes with training. It's not going to come automatically, we understand that. But we have all sorts of tools in mind on how to get that done very rapidly.
So maybe as we start to wrap up, I just want to come back to why Cargill is committed to this. For sure, 100 million is a big number, and we have a lot of very specific ways that we'll work with Heifer on how we're going to measure our impact along that journey. But our energy really is steeped in something much deeper. It's steeped in the understanding that the impact that hunger has on our world, the impact it has on a child's cognitive learning, their social development, their emotional development, the impact it has negatively on their immune system, frankly leaving them vulnerable to both their environment and to disease. We also know, because we've seen it with our eyes, the power that one egg a day sold can have the power to put a child in school. Another egg a day in their stomach can increase their learning ability in ways that none of us can even imagine and may be able to measure. Think about, out of those 100 million people, how many doctors and scientists and mothers and Nobel Peace Prize winners we are potentially helping nourish to their full potential. At Cargill, we believe absolutely that our role in this world is to nourish the world in a safe, sustainable, and responsible way. And those words are fundamental to what we believe, and they're fundamental to what Hatching Hope is all about.
So we're pretty confident we can reach 100 million people. And I would just turn to the audience here, and we're in this sort of activity together. Anybody would like to join us? Maybe we can get to 500 million. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Don't go anywhere yet. Don't go anywhere yet.
Don't go anywhere yet.
Chuck Cargill, stand there for me, please.
Right there.
Yes. Pierre, Heifer, stand here for me, please. Thank you very much. There's something really beautiful about your partnership and also your friendship as well. It reminded me of the Newlyweds game, you know, where you ask one what the other's like and they tell you. So, Chuck, I asked you what was Pierre's best quality, and you said...
You didn't write it down?
I wrote it down, but I'd love him to hear it from your mouth.
I said he genuinely cares about every person he comes in contact.
That was so beautiful. I wondered if you could come up with something better, Pierre.
About myself?
No. Well, obviously about yourself. I mean, where would we end? But about Chuck, which is quite challenging.
I only met her last night, and she started picking on me right away.
To know you is to love you.
You know, I've knocked around business a long time, and Chuck, as a major business leader, has a joyous morality about what he does, which is really unusual, and I think that's wonderful.
Thank you so much for showing us the power of partnership. Chuck, Pierre, thank you.
Thank you.